What's up, it's George of Fragrance Apprentice here, today with a top 5 list of flankers that overtook their parent fragrances. Now, the first thing to note is that this is not about scent, this is not about the best smelling flankers. In this list, we're going to be talking about fragrances that completely outshone and outdid the fragrances that inspired them in sales, in popularity, and in respect from the fragrance community overall. Now, in this list there are 2 honourable mentions, and interestingly they're from the same house. The first being Body Kouros. Now, the original Kouros came out in the 80s, it was an incredible powerhouse. This came out later and smelled very, very different. Now, because of that, there became a divide in the clientele of who was going to buy this. So Kouros was never really outthroned or taken over by Body Kouros because it developed its own niche clientele, its own niche customer. And the second one from the same house, Nuit de l'Homme. This is the La Parfum edition. I'm talking more really about the Eau de Toilette, but this also can qualify. L'Homme is one of the biggest selling fragrance aftershaves in the US, in North America. At one point it was number 1, it may still be that. So there's no way in sales that this could really take over it. But it's highly loved, highly appreciated and highly respected, but can't really qualify for the actual top 5 list. Coming in at number 5 is from the house of Thierry Mugler. It is Angel Men Pure Malt. Now, some may argue that this should be higher up in the list, potentially even number 1. After all, it was brought out as a limited edition in 2009, got taken off the shelves, but was brought back by popular demand into a permanent flanker. However, outside of the fragrance community and people who are a bit more selective and diehard with their fragrances, this is actually not really known. In general consumer stores, this isn't even available. Its parent fragrance is available, Angel Men, and Angel Men, sales-wise, is still extraordinarily prominent and completely takes over not only Pure Malt, but all of the Angel Men flankers. Angel Men is still king of the castle, and Pure Malt, as amazing and as wonderful as it is, I personally am a fan of it, is nowhere near to dethroning or overtaking the fragrance that inspired it, Angel Men. Coming in at number 4 is from the house of Christian Dior, and that is Homme Intense. Now, it's a testament to Christian Dior for it being so low down on the list. This is so appreciated and celebrated as one of the most sexiest, most mysterious and most seductive fragrances ever. But there is still an ongoing war in the community, and not just that, but in sales between these two. Mostly it is Dior Homme Intense that wins, but there is a bit of a backlash to that, with many reviewers claiming that this is overhyped and its parent fragrance Dior Homme is the real king and should be more respected. I am actually one of those reviewers. Even so, you cannot argue with the sheer influence that Dior Homme Intense has had over the fragrance industry and over many fragrance reviewers. This is a top seller, but Dior Homme is still in the running, and it is still also greatly respected and greatly appreciated. That's why it's so low. Number 4, Dior Homme Intense. Coming in at number 3, moving from Dior to their rival Chanel, this is Allure Homme Sport. Now, a few years ago, this might have been a bit higher up in the list, maybe number 4 or number 5, but in recent years this has become unanimous with the Allure line. In fact, it's become virtually unanimous with Chanel as a fragrance house. A few years ago, the original Allure was as respected, or maybe even more so, than this. But because potentially of reformulations of Allure Homme, or just simply because this one has more press, this came out the victorious Allure fragrance. Coming in at number 2 is L'Instant de Guerlain Eau Extrême. This truly has left its originator in the dust as far as the YouTube reviewers are concerned and the general populace. This is Guerlain's number 1 selling male fragrance. It's interesting that so many YouTubers have reviewed this fragrance without giving a single thought towards the original L'Instant de Guerlain. What's really interesting to note about this fragrance is that the differences between this and its originator aren't that extreme. but they are enough to wedge a huge gap between the two in the eyes of consumers and reviewers alike. A bit more added cocoa and a bit more focus on the patchouli makes this a seductive sexual bomb of a fragrance that is loved and adored universally. Now then, there have been many hardcore superstar well-loved fragrances in this list, but what is the flanker that completely took over and almost eradicated its originator? Well, that can only really go to Versace's Man Eau Fraiche. Versace's Man Eau Fraiche has taken over its originator, so much so that people are still surprised to this day that this is actually a flanker and not the originator itself. The reason being is that if you go to a superstore or a pharmacy or wherever you can purchase fragrances or aftershaves, you won't be seeing the originators to this, you'll actually be seeing this. And I can honestly say that for every 50 people who have smelt this, only one would have actually smelt the original. I myself haven't been able to smell the original because it's actually quite hard to find, and that is quite amazing. When a flanker of a fragrance outlasts commercially and viably its originator, then it becomes a legend in its own right. If you really enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe to my channel. Which fragrance flankers do you love? Which fragrance flankers did I miss out that should potentially have been on this list? Leave your feedback down below. And until I see you next time, I'm the Fragrance Apprentice, and I'm out.